you're good. That's perfect. Hello and welcome back to our build, the Mountain Dream Home build. We are making progress on our little addition here on the front of the house, which we're calling our mudroom, and it's going really well.
We had a bit of a slow start because we were waiting on material, but we got set up to do a couple of different projects. We poured the floor inside the mudroom, but we also got all of the siding and trim done on the outside. So it looks pretty different, I think. So in one town trip, we got all the materials we needed. I got the concrete for the floor, and I got the corner boards to start the trim on the outside. To start, we had to pour the bottom of our little shoe scrapey pit inside the mudroom. So we dug out a little bit of a hole where it was going, made it extra big past where the upper hole was going to be, and we just mixed, I think it was 6 bags, 2 bags at a time in a wheelbarrow with a shovel, and poured that little tiny floor to start out. The temperatures were such outside that we didn't really feel comfortable with the running water outside, and also the temperature was too low for the concrete itself. So we opted to close off the front of the mudroom with an insulated board and heat the room with the inside air from inside the house, and do all of our mixing right in our living room.
Everyone who's ever done a remodel knows what I was feeling when that concrete mixer came into the living room. It's so stressful to have your actual living space disrupted for the build. And part of the reason that this mudroom has been so fun and has felt so easy is that it's outside. You know, it's attached to the outside of the house. But it was a very quick disruption. Nick was able to get the whole thing pretty much wrapped in a day as far as the pour coming from the inside of the house part of it. And the next day, our living room looked just like normal. Maybe not as clean as it's ever been, but a perfectly normal living room with no damage. Well, concrete is messy stuff, but it also goes in fast. The short pour was done on Tuesday, and then the main pour was done on Wednesday. We were aiming for a little break in the weather. The forecast showed temperatures in the 40s, quite high temperatures for our area all weekend, and we wanted to have that time for the concrete to cure or set up.
Okay, well, so Mom and I will go first so that and we'll go out at the edge, okay? We'd always thought that we'd find a place on the house to do handprints. We thought maybe when we did the floor in the house, we'd have a little corner or something, but it just didn't ever really work out conveniently. So with this pour being completely in our control, we went ahead and made the timing work out to get the kids here while it was still nice and wet, and get some good evidence of them being here.
There's something really special and brave about putting your handprints in the concrete. It's also a little risky in a way, but I figure if we didn't ever want them there, they'd be very easy to cover with tile, and right now we really do want them there. What's the use of building your own house if you don't leave your marks, the marks of your presence in it? So getting their little fingerprints into the concrete front and center was the right choice, and a beautiful moment for our memory book.
Yes. I'm just gonna jump up and down until I step there.
Boy, that'll wear you out.
I had to make the door jamb in order to start the trim operation. So this is more of our fir that we harvested right here. It was a little bit of planer time, and I used a piece of poplar for the threshold. Hey Sadie, put down your picture for a minute. Can you pick up this end and walk into the mudroom and go that way when you get there? Go to your left when you get through the door, okay?
Okay. And it's done that way?
Other one. Left. Pretty sure about that.
I hope it fits.
Thanks, honey.
I don't know if it's gonna fit.
It's gonna fit, baby. He uses a tape measure.
It does fit.
I appreciate the excitement though. That's fun.
Yay, it fits.
That went in pretty well. And I'll be able to build the door to it. But it's a pretty standard size also. To start the trim, I had to do the corner boards first. These are cedar 2x6. That's the material I was waiting on. Inconvenient that it was very first, but it was. So those go on to wrap the corners, and then everything works up to them, including the metal down below. That just goes on with the same roofing screws that I used up above. It is topped off with a piece of flashing that helps to cap off the corrugations, but it also directs water away from the house. Then it was time to trim out the windows. Those went relatively quickly. It was a little weird to incorporate this window that's right close to the door, but I think it turned out pretty nice.
You may remember from last episode that we had planned a larger full-length window that we had that we wouldn't have to buy, and then that window ended up not being in good enough condition, so we bought a matching pair, and I love it. I love the symmetry of the two windows that we bought. It was a happy accident for me. Some people have asked about the orientation of the front door and why we chose to do that. It's really just a matter of taste, but what Nick is doing there is lining up both front doors with the peak of the house. And that's the look that he wanted, and that's the look that we like. We don't have a real problem with a wind tunnel right through here. The wind tends to come from this direction rather than this way. So it wasn't really a huge issue for us to have the two doors lined up. They're not going to generate a real wind tunnel kind of effect. And we just love the way it looks. And sometimes that's what matters.
So with the window trim all done and the corner boards there, then I just have these fields to fill in with siding. We start at the bottom with a little starter strip of a rip of 1/4-inch plywood, and that just kicks that first piece of bevel siding out at the same angle that the rest of the pieces will be at. So it makes it look right. What do you think this is for, Milo?
Well, so here they're leaning on each other in a diagonal way, but without that, it would be straight, and then it would be all flippy.
Right. The trim and siding mostly happened on the weekend, so I ended up with some helpers this time around, which is different for this kind of work because it's really specific and it's kind of one piece at a time, but it was a good training opportunity for both Milo and Stella to get in there with the tape measure and just to see all of the operations that go into any given thing. It's good to have them at the hip.
Against mice.
Milo's gonna smash them if he sees them.
Wait, what are you doing, Milo?
I used this. I came with this mallet to use as a weapon against mice.
Have you seen some mice?
Yes, we have. We've seen one over there.
There was a mouse in the pile.
Yeah, and we scared them off.
This is mouse smashing hammer.
To the saw. So we know that the stud would be at 16, but we got to take the 1.25 inches off. It's back there. Does that make sense?
Oh.
So if this tape were able to get all the way to the wall, 1.25 inches that way, it'd be sitting on 16. Okay, so we're going to do that for the others. 32 minus 1.25 inches. Okay, 48.
Minus 1.25 inches.
Yep. I'm holding on the mark that I know, and then watching the bubble. You're going to adjust it. So then I know I'm going on that mark, straight up and down. So this is our little feeler board. This goes on the bottom of one and shows you where the bottom of the next one should be. You see that?
Yeah.
Good. But since we can't get to the bottom of this one, we're gonna mark it before we put it on.
Okay.
All right, hold that on there just for a second. I'm gonna go make a sandwich.
Dad! He's like, all right, now that you're holding my...
You should put those on. It's,
Will you make a sandwich?
right. So you can't hear what a delicious sandwich I have.
Nick is able to teach the kids more effectively one at a time, so we assigned them each areas. Milo helped a bit with the trim and a great deal with the siding on the short side facing north. Stella got to help with the whole front side, which faces east.
How's that?
That's good. Good work, honey.
Trim, right? Siding. Pour a floor.
Nothing else. That's it.
Nothing else.
But that's still pretty cool.
That's good. So it's right around the beginning of February, and we're making great progress. More progress than I thought we would make over the winter. It's been a really fairly easy winter for us weather-wise. We'll see how we like that come spring, but we've really been able to motor along pretty well. The next steps are, well, it's not a room until it has a door, so I'll be getting started on the custom door for the front of the house, and also be making the steel grate that goes in that hole, so we have a place to scrape our shoes. And once it's a room, we can start using it. I'm Nick. Thanks for watching.